I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I had this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me. And he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it. I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
Well, we're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening. So wake up with Michele Meiche. Be pleased to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening. Understand what living awake is.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good to have you guys here. Welcome in the chat. I see some people getting in there. Tried to get the chat open earlier today. I'm going to be getting my decaf cappuccino, although I feel like I need a full strength today. Not that I'm tired, just clarifying a lot of stuff. I want to hear from all of you how you're doing with this energy pattern. Whoa, a lot of reevaluating right now. I've been tweeting about it. I've been posting on Instagram about it. I've been talking about it in the readings on YouTube, and then also threads, which is kind of new. And definitely in Patreon, been giving a heads up. So I always feel like it's just better to go with the flow of things in life and see what is that bringing me? What is that bringing me? What is going on here? Okay, I'm having to put the show description because it wasn't on air. All right, gang. 347-539-5122 is the number. If you hear me rustling in the background, I'm getting my decaf cappuccino with a combo of coconut milk and almond milk. So get your tea, coffee, water, favorite beverage, and join me. Or if you're on the go, maybe you're listening later in the archives, or maybe you're on the go right now, listening while you're doing your to-dos or cleaning or vacuuming or working or studying or riding your bike, however you listen. Want to ask all of you also to please subscribe to Tarot and Soul Insights, as well as Awakenings with Michele Meiche podcast on YouTube. That will greatly help. We're getting stuff. I know I keep saying that, but I want to keep everybody kind of abreast. We're looking at sound stuff right now. I have someone that's going to be helping me with the sound for the expansion of Awakenings. And, you know, it just takes longer. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that I was going to launch, last year around September, October. And it's looking like I was going to launch it this month, and then I thought, you know what, just wait for September. Because there's so much going on with the energetic patterns, and I know a lot of people are feeling it because I've been getting a lot of feedback. There's a lot going on reevaluating relationships, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I definitely want to get to your calls and want to hear from you how you're navigating this, or what helps you, or what's, life enhancing, what's non-life enhancing, how you're dealing with this energy pattern, because this pattern is going to be around for a while. And one of the posts I did yesterday on Instagram, which would be great if you guys follow me there, I think it was yesterday, or it was Monday, is one of the things that's happening right now. And as a transpersonal psychologist, I see this all the time. I see this as a soul coach, psychic channel. I see it in all parts of life. Hypnotherapist, because it deals with patterns. A lot of times we change internally. We have an idea and we're ready. We're ready. We've been focusing, we've been manifesting, we've been using law of resonance, law of, attraction. We've really been visioning and visualizing, and we've been doing the steps. We've been putting the action steps. We've been inspired, doing inspired action. And then we're like, wah, wah, what's going on? Delay. So a lot of times, in fact, most in life, because life is so process or cycle orientated, right? It's cyclical. We shift a lot internally, or what our expectations are, especially when we really get it more in a soul alignment, where we feel like, okay, I've got it now. I know what I'm doing, and I'm making these changes. And then it takes quite a while for the outer world to change. We might start noticing subtle changes in how we feel, or how people respond to us, or how we respond to certain situations. Our circumstances energetically start changing, but a lot of times the bigger change, like where's the job? Where's the new career? Where's the money? It's like I put in all this work, all this time. Where's the growth? Where's the payoff? And that's because energetically, mentally, emotionally, our structures change. Now, the flip side of this is sometimes we have extreme change out externally, and then we have to respond to that. And I think a lot of times people think change is going to happen like that. And usually, as a psychic channel and a medium, I can see when people have had huge external change that seems very disruptive. I can see psychically, if you're reading the soul, that they have been changing subconsciously, but maybe they've been blocking their changes on an ego level. And then again, sometimes, there are accidents, there are things that come out of the blue. That is part of the earth plane experience as well. But you may feel like there's a certain squeeze, like you're feeling squeezed, like I can't breathe, I need more psychic space, because what's happening is well, for many people on this part of the awakening right now, what is happening is that there is a new aspect of soul that's coming through. And I talk a lot about this on Patreon. I go in a deep dive. So if you're interested in learning more about this kind of stuff and being supported spiritually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, metaphorically, metaphysically, as a spiritualist, in the realm of spiritualism, the occult, the esoteric, through divination, all the tools, hypnotherapy, dream therapy, all what I have to bring, then join the Patreon community. It's a great place of support, supportive people that are really thriving, and creating that soul expressed life. But the squeeze is on now because you can feel it. It's like you're busting out of your skin. It's like the tennis shoes, are opening, right? It's like the canvas on the shoes are starting to open. It's like, But where are the structures? So the structures are not yet in place. And they're not going to be totally, I would say more in place probably, maybe it's September, but I would say more October into the end of the year, and definitely the first quarter of next year. So there's still this kind of opening up, like peeling out like a banana peel, this emergence as this new energy comes in, and it's very aligned to the nodal change, the nodal axis change. It's very aligned to that North Node in Aries. It's very much about the self, and I don't mean the little ego self or wounding. It's very much like, kind of like putting a cape on, like an action hero. It's like, whoa, because that's the kind of energy we're going to need to navigate the big changes that are coming in the world, and therefore individually in our life. Now, what's interesting about the action hero that we are, this avatar, we're having changes in our scripting. A lot of you have been changing your script, and a lot of you don't even know your script is changing. It's changing on such a inner level through the place of the higher self and the soul, and with the collective energies of the awakening, this great awakening that I've been speaking about since 2006, I believe, 2005 in groups, and I believe 2006, 2007 from Awakenings. That's how long this podcast has been going on. So, and how did it start? Because in a vision. I get visions. A lot of people, of my visions, whether it was the, pandemic, COVID, everything that went on with that, where it came from, all of that I got. Whether it's the stock market changes, whether it's the Berlin Wall going down, whether it's people trading in the stock market and trading by computer, or whether it was 9/11, all these big. So I got the heads up about this awakening that's going to be happening, and the guide said it's awakenings, because there's going to be awakening in all different parts of the world, all different sectors, all different areas, of life on Earth. Awakening to your ancestral roots, awakening to your cosmic roots, your galactic roots, awakening in the financial industry, in the sector, awakening to the creative aspect of your way, awakening to the soul. It's awakening to the soul in the higher dimensional aspects of your being. So it could be a political awakening. It's a awakening to understanding how this world really works. A lot of you are awakening to that. So there's all these awakenings happening, pinging, just, like satellites, pinging, pings, like when you get pinged. And awakening to your own gifts. So that's going to come in stronger and stronger. So the old model, the old way of being is really getting tight for people. And you want to start, and this is what I do on Patreon, you want to start making those changes and navigate. That's what I came back here to do, is to help people navigate through the Great Awakening. I mean, if you listen to everything I've been doing since the 90s and to now, it's all been about that. As you can feel it. There's a lot of confusion, and there's going to be more confusion. And this is why my guides always said, teach people how to trust their intuition, how to tap in, how to make those decisions, how to heal the emotional body, how to heal from wounding, because that blocks you. Your emotional patterning and wounding blocks you from getting the messages or distorts the messages for many people. And it's been inaccurate, So right now the squeeze, if you're feeling squeezed, that means you're on the right track. I know it's uncomfortable. I've been feeling it. And what it is where are your structures, like your people that can support you, your people that help you, or your significant others or family members, or maybe it's people you work with, or maybe it's people you barter with or trade with, or maybe it's your friends. Maybe it's a certain people in a community, and you're going, they're not showing up, or they're slacking, or they're going through their own traumas because they didn't heed the call. But the thing is, we can't just dispose of people, because really what we're here about is about relationship. We're here on this earth to live and express as a soul, to live from soul experiences and create from the soul, live and love from the soul. But a big part on the earth plane is about emotions, is about the energy in motion, is about the emotional connectedness of life, the ups and the downs. I know it's a pain in the ass, but when you look over from the realm of spirit, this is the only dimension that we have all these ups and downs and drama and trauma and all these things that get acted out until there is less and less juice, less and less vibrational frequency and resonance, and then the things become distinct. And so many of you have come back to help things become extinct, to help, not by doing anything like, oh, I'm changing this, but by the virtue of changing within yourself the dynamics of how you relate, how you live and love, by changing the relating pattern, because we're all just patterns, we're all just matrices intertwined with, a huge matrix or design. And not like Matrix the movie. By the way, I met him years ago. Because a good friend of mine back in the day, Thea, was a good friend of mine. We used to exchange readings. And I actually predicted that she would get married to him and come out here from Chicago. I was there for a few years. I was based there when I modeled. But I was doing readings, and the guides were coming through, and I was doing all my astrology and occult stuff and studying a lot and training and teaching people. But yeah, so it's like fact or fiction. It's like you have to not fear that. We are this design, this woof and wharf, this interconnectedness through and as the subtle energy. That is changing. So the very fabric of the world, of the universe, and how it interacts is changing. And all of, if you're listening to this podcast, you're definitely a part of it. But make no mistake, it's happening to you, for you, and through you, So if you're feeling squeezed, if you're feeling like, oh my God, when are these changes coming, or my life's too small for me right now. I want to escape. I want to expand. I want to be free. That's opening up more to spirit. Because the part of us that created the containment was the ego, was the human part. And that's not that it was bad, That it was a way to keep things safe. And now there's going to be a lot more opening. You see it, like the awakening in media, the awakening through social media, the awakening that I have something to say and I can share something. I'm a star. I have my own opinion. I want to do something creative online. So it's for everyday people. That's the Aquarian age, rules the everyday person, the masses, really. And then the collectives or small groups within that or communities. So this awakening is awakening people to a new way of living and being, and so the old life you have is very constricted, is not fitting anymore. So you're just going to have to kind of nudge it along and do what you can step by step and keep your eye on the vision, the prize, you know, and keep connecting into your inner you, your intuition, your vibe, your higher self, you know, your vibratory being, your soul being. The soul, the resonating aspect to know where to go and what to do. While the outer structures, and a lot of people are feeling this even more because Pluto has retrograded back into Capricorn, but it still has, it went into Aquarius. So anytime we have this retrograded motion, the sign that it went direct into, there's still that energy playing. And I believe it's 27 or 28 degrees, but it will retrograde into the, you know, it will move back up into 29 degrees before it goes back into Aquarius in, I believe, January for good. It'll be there for a while. So it's the last degrees of what can we do in this amount of time to overhaul these structures. And even though Capricorn has to do with corporation, you know, and those kinds of societal structures, it also has to do with the structures in your life and where efficiency, simplifying. I'm giving more stuff away, simplifying more stuff, culling through a lot of books that I got over the years from this podcast. Most publicists now, publishing houses and authors are sending PDFs, which is great, or, you know, Kindle version, or, you know. But I had a lot of books, and I'd given a few years ago, I think I gave 8 boxes to the library, and now I looked again, and I'm like, okay, it's time to clear out. What's no longer, not only no longer serving you, guys and gals, peeps, my lovely peeps, soul tribe, you beautiful soul lights. But what doesn't resonate? What's tight? What doesn't resonate? It might fit on an outer level, but on an inner level, there's something off. There's something too much about it or not enough. It doesn't resonate anymore with you. It's not reflecting you somehow. And right now, if you want to serve this energy that's coming in that feels feels very squeezed, it could be a belief, it could be a thought, it could be the way you relate to people or how you relate to people. It could be, very often it's going to be something also in your house. So look for things that you can get rid of, that you can gift, that you can sell, whatever it is, however you want to do it. But make that space in your mentally, emotionally open up more and make that space in your living places, your living situation. And I find it very interesting also, I think it was last week, we had the Declutter Whisperer on, and she was quite amazing. You can go back and look at her, let's see, let me make sure it was last week, and she had a lot of things to say, because it's true, when we hold on to stuff too much, and believe me, with my lovely Taurus moon, I do love, you know, I'm sentimental. Star Hansen, it was great. It was last week. Yes, Star Hansen. I don't hold stuff like that in my head. But you know what to keep and get rid of if it's weighing you down or it feels like, think of you doing a cross-country move or a move abroad, because there's going to be new things coming in your life. Now let's check the chat, and then we're going to get to callers, 347-539-5122. Jackie is saying, really leaning into my intuition, a lot of meditation, and also checking in with myself. Perfect. it's a big squeeze going on. Things are flying out of my closets, almost like a Mercury retrograde. Well, we have Venus retrograde, and Venus has to do with what we value and beauty and aesthetics and honor and how we want to be valued, or what we love and how we want to be loved, also how we express love or what types of love. Like people that have Venus in Aquarius, friendship is very important, even in a significant relationship or partnership or marital relationship. They have to be with somebody they consider their friend, but they tend to have a lot of friends. So, if you know your chart, take a look at where is Capricorn, because Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Where is Aquarius? Is it aspecting any of your personal planets? Where is this Venus in Leo retrograde hitting you? It starts the 23rd, but I love astrology, and I've been studying it for so many years. I love it and practicing it. I love doing charts. But I got to say, the energies always happen before the aspects. And I know they talk about pre-shadow, and then, the after shadow. I think that's really important to take in mind, because a lot of times people think, it happens, whatever's going to happen happens right on the day that it stations, and whether direct or retrograde, and that's not true. It's something that's happened. This is why in cycles, when you read psychically, as a channel, it's 2 months, a month to 2 months. And then if you really get into the subtle energy of it, you can feel, wow, this started happening 6 months ago, 8 months ago. It's a 6-8 month cycle, actually. Or if you get even more into the subtle end, this happened 18 months ago, little by little. So I get it. It's a good way to, bottom line is, what I'm trying to explain is we're already in the energy, already in that energy pattern. That's why the squeeze, and that's why, and Venus ruling to some degree our appearance. Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Libra, so having to do with our face, our visage, our appearance, how we show up in the world. Then you've got the nodes changing from the nodal axis, moved out of Taurus-Scorpio axis into, on the 18th, Aries, north node, the true node in Aries, south node in Libra. So again, we've got that Libra energy, but the Aries is about me. It's about the self. So the self that people are to be connecting with right now is understanding the soul self. And how do I connect into the soul? Well, through the higher vibrational frequency of the higher self. I have to extend or expand out of the polarity plane as much as possible, being stuck on one end of the polarity plane. Because when you do that, it lets the new ideas come in from the soul or from spirit or from God. It lets what is emerging come through. Because the ego is all about keeping the status quo, right? It doesn't really want new ideas to come in. This is why our best ideas come after we think and thought and write it out. It comes as a flash of insight or intuition, or comes as a dream or a vision, or we see something and it sparks. It comes in the divine spark. So we're being pushed to connect in more with the divine spark of us. And all parts of us are divine, even the ego. It's just that the spark, the spirit, North Node in Aries is fire. Fire represents spirit. We're meant to connect with the inspiration, the inspirar, through the breath, and then take inspired action, which means you might be lying around or thinking you're not doing too much, or maybe you think you're procrastinating because you set a lot of stuff in motion, but the spark didn't get lit yet. It will. Oh, Sue, I know I'm getting rid of some books. I know. Oh, cross country. You're moving, Sue. That's great. Hi, everyone. Yeah. So see, follow, because if you're opening up to that higher self, it's preparing you for what's next, and it's going to be on the move. It's going to be sudden. Because we have that Uranus and Taurus still. Where is that in your chart? Uranus and Taurus is going to be squaring, or Pluto when it goes into, Aquarius, there's going to be that lovely square there. Then Saturn is in Pisces. It's retrograde. Neptune is in Pisces, but Saturn is going to move direct again. It's going to say, hey, where are we putting these big ideas? Where's the structure? So right now there's a lot of delay energy or refocus. And I say delay, but not in the way we used to say it, because you're still doing stuff, but in a different way. You're listening now to the intuition, like, oh, I'm going to get rid of this, I'm going to get rid of that. And then what happens? Oh, October, November, let's say next February, you're like, oh, my God, I found the place of my dreams, a house. Oh, thank God I got rid of so much stuff, because I don't have to pack all that now, and I'm only taking what's essential. Or let's say you sell a bunch of stuff, and then in a few months later, you're like, oh, shoot, I have that extra money. I can buy this now. You know what I'm saying? So really listen to your inner guidance at this time. It's leading you to the next evolution, the next evolution of the wheel, the revolution, the revolving of the wheel is happening, or what I like to say, the sundial. All right, 347-539-5122 is the number. Hello, you're on air.
It's a ray of the sun.
Hey, Sunray. I knew I could pick up this call.
How are you, Michelle? I have to share this with you right on the heels of what you just mentioned of, like, you just really don't think about, like, oh, okay, well, that's the reason why I did that. It's funny, Monday, what's today, Wednesday? Oh, yeah, it's Wednesday.
Right.
I mean,
I'm with you. I had to look at last week's guest. Well, thank God, I'm like, oh, let me multitask. Who was it? I liked them. I know I remember I liked them. I didn't remember their name.
I mean, your show's every Wednesday. How could I forget it's Wednesday? But I mean, life or time is non-linear. Anyway, on Monday, just things just happened to happen with one employment where I was like, it's like, I don't think this is working out. I didn't show up to the shift, right. And then I knew I would be let go because of that reason. But there was just a lot going on, and I hadn't really been scheduled for a while. So that was that, and I'm like, man, now I'm unemployed, and I've been worried because I haven't been working, finding a job. But then right after I sent that text off to the manager being like, I already know you're going to let me go. Just let me know when I can pick up my last paycheck. My friend calls me, and she's like, hey, I have a job for you. Are you looking for a job?
Oh, wow.
Boom. And the universe just provided that second job.
Wow. So, alignment. Yeah.
Yes. So I feel heavily agreed with what you just mentioned and shared about, like, time, what that looks like. But I also have a question for you whenever you're ready.
Yeah. I'm ready.
I am looking for a crystal that means very dear to me. It's a necklace that I wear. It's a special cut necklace called Bolton. It's a tool. It's used for star seeds, but I've not been able to find it, and I don't know where it's at. And I was curious to know if you might.
Let's see if I can tune in. Okay. Okay, I get water, shower, packing. Sure, it feels like it fell in between something. Do you have stuff in boxes? I
do, yeah. There's stuff in boxes.
I think it's in a box. I feel like you were in the. If I remote view, I feel like you were doing different things. Like, let me put this in here. Let me go get the tea or coffee or whatever, drink here. Let me go, and then you're doing different things. You're in the bathroom. I feel like you're packing and doing other things in between and took it off. Like, I want to take that. Have you had it since you moved? You moved.
No.
Right?
Actually, I lost it in between my move.
After you moved?
No, I had it before my move, and now I don't have it after my move.
That's what I thought. Because I think it's in one of the boxes.
Okay.
I'm clearly seeing, I feel like there could be a plaid shirt or some kind of, it feels brown and black, or brown. It could be a T-shirt, but I'm getting brown or black. Do you have anything that's brown or black or combination?
That's some jacket. So it
it could be in that. It's almost like an afterthought. It's almost like an afterthought. There's something dark in there, and also something brown, or taupe. It's a darker color.
Okay.
I wonder why you put it. You put it there. Yeah. Let us know. But I definitely feel you'll find it. But I feel you lost it in between. It's like you're wondering what to do next. Okay, do I shower, brush, whatever you're doing in the bathroom, and then you're out, and then you're doing something else. Yeah, and then you're packing. I do see you taking it off, and I think you've slipped it in somewhere thinking, either you'll remember where you put it, or I'll wear it later or something. But yeah, I definitely feel you for sure. It's packed, and you lost it definitely before wherever you're at now.
Okay. All right. As I'm ruffling through things. All right. Thank you so much, Michele. That's very helpful.
Okay. Talk to you later, Sunday.
Okay.
Bye.
Much love. Bye.
Lots of love. Love and light. Hi, you're on air.
Oh, from Bali. Hi, Michele.
Hey, Zoe from Bali. Hello. Oh, Jackie's saying, "Yay, Sunray." Okay, just hey, Zoe. Okay.
I've been having some interesting shifts lately, and I've healed up pretty well. My foot is healed up pretty well, and I need to transition out of the space that I was at. I was hoping I was going to be able to be here more than the 2 months, but it's just not possible where I'm located. I'm next to a river where there's a lot of people that are coming and going, and they had access to this place before, and I just found out last week when I was trying to get ready to go to an event that all of my jewelry, all of my stuff has been gone through and stolen. So I need to shift to be somewhere safer, and I'm wondering what that looks like, because it's going to be by the end of this week or next week type situation. I'm wondering what you can see, or what you feel around this, because it's really complicated right now, because it's high season and nothing is really presenting itself. There's a bunch of blocks, so I'm just wondering what you can see around that.
Okay, let's see.
I'm not feeling safe where I'm at.
No. Let's see what's going on. Have you? Okay, this is interesting. Have either moved away or something, or people not? You're around different people now?
Yeah, so I moved 2 months ago because I was having all the issues at the last place with the ceiling falling in and them kind of pushing me. So I moved here, and I thought it was going to be a safe space. However, the place has been vacant for so long, and because there are all these people building in the river. And then, it was this really weird situation. My friend came to stay, and then she left, and they thought I was her. And I saw 5 of them working together, one guy came and used the side to break open the gates, and then the other 3 guys came up, and the girl who's the maid was letting them know when I was here and when I wasn't. And I was like, wow, because I just really was feeling very trusting when I came to this space, like not worrying about locking things. So it was really, really intense to kind of see it in action, because I kind of felt that someone was coming in. I knew that they were coming in and eating food and using the bathroom, the shower, the kitchen. But I didn't really realize until last week when I tried to find my jewelry that they had gone through everything. I mean, literally every box, every bag, everything. And very carefully picked out anything worth anything. And so I was like, okay, it's time to go. And when I finally brought it to the attention of the guy who lives here, he was like, well, I think you're being negative. And I was like, well, I have pictures of this guy coming in my house. Like, you told me, like, get pictures or proof. And I was like, now that I have it, you're telling me maybe it's better that I leave, because now I have proof. And obviously I want to leave because I'm not feeling safe. So
right.
And I know that when we talked about this before, you felt like the bigger move was going to be towards July, August, which is now where we're at. And I'm just wondering where.
But I definitely feel like you need, I get like emotional clearing or repattern, because it feels like stuff is following you, it keeps happening. And so I would say to get to the best place where you can feel, I know you thought that it was this place, feel more safe. I feel that place took a turn, though. I feel like at first it was good, and then I feel like this other element came in, which can happen a lot of times when you're traveling. That's a weird thing. I've traveled extensively all over the world, and I've lived in different parts of the world, and I know that feeling when your time is getting up, stuff starts happening. And usually it's because we're avoiding something within ourselves, and because, believe me, I've been there. Weird shit starts happening externally. You just start attracting these. So I would say wherever it is for you, I don't know, it would take me a longer reading to really vibe in, but I definitely feel there is some energy that turned around you and around your circumstances. So around the people, I definitely feel it's something about going back to someone you know. Now, I don't know if that's the States. I don't know if that's somebody that you met earlier on there that you can reconnect with and just get some kind of grounding energy. The other thing that can really help you is a type of grounding exercise, like earthing, feeling the ground, but making sure that you're connecting in through your higher self and source, and finding within you that part of you that is registering to being taken advantage of, to being victimized or taking advantage of, or has in the past. Connect in with that part of you and do some nurturing and really love connecting with that part and do something healing, and then extend beyond. Even visualize yourself extending beyond that part. Because what happens when we start having these kinds of situations is we're worn down, and so we're not really connecting in with through our higher self. And believe me, again, I've been there. It's like, even though we're saying all the words, and I've been there, and as me as a coach, everything that I do, everything I've studied, it's a vibrational thing. And so you don't want to ignore that part. You want to nurture and do whatever, but you want to extend upward or outward into the higher self. I think this is why the power of prayer works so positively. So I would even, it's great you called into the show. There's even this unity prayer line where you can call in and they do this no joke, I've done it before. You can feel a total shift of energy. You have to right now, I'm so glad you called in, you have to get the higher vibrational frequency energy in. I don't know what happened the last time since you called in, but your energy psychically in the psychic realm has bumped down. So now how does this happen? Sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's an environment we're in. If we're in an environment where there's either a lot of drugs or drinking or people stealing things, it bumps up even if we don't experience it or see it, the environment impinges on us. So I would say
I started doing a lot of work with some priests, and they started clearing out some stuff, and he had told me that basically I'm in the process of removing black magic, which is something that I know that it exists out here, but it's something I've never really tapped into, because I'm like, well, if I don't give it energy, then it's not really a thing. But he told me like
I don't
the
agree
second or
with
third
him.
time that
I
went.
do not agree with him.
Okay.
It's not that. It's your it's the vibrational frequency from your emotional state, unhealed wounding. And believe me, I've done depossession work. I've done all this kind of stuff. Most of what happens to people is their own thought forms acting in on them. We get overly triggered, and then we start pulling in things. And yeah, it's back in the day we could call it black magic or a spell, but I've never seen anybody that had a spell on them or that I did depossession work on that didn't call that in to some degree, because how they believed about themselves, whether consciously or unconsciously, within the subconscious realm. So really what you need is straight up standard emotional clearing, healing work, therapy, hypnotherapy, working with the wounding, and to change the vibrational. Because see, the experiences we have on life are predicated on our energetic body, which is emotions, energy and motion. We are energetic beings. We are emotional beings. And so that ties us in to the astral forms, through the aura and the etheric, into the astral forms that we will connect with. The astral plane is it's the hallway to the higher dimension. So if our astral plane has a lot of unhealed stuff or a lot of interesting connections and beliefs and things about things, it's going to be hard to bump up. It may feel like we're going into the higher self, but we're going into the lower mind, the lower octave of projections. So it's a trip. It's a trip, because I've seen people do it. I've seen people, and that's why you got to be very careful with spirits. I always tell people, when people have come to me over the years, especially when I was doing a lot of this work, I'd be like, look, life is complicated enough. Do you want to add this crap in there too? Do you really want to add in voodoo or magic? And I know people that do, and I know people that play in those realms, but it is a different vibrational frequency, and you've got, if you agree to that, that's the only reason, according to one of my great teachers, Dr. Hahn, D. Hahn, and he had done depossession work. I mean, this guy was so talented. He had been on Oprah back in the day. I didn't even know it. I've studied with him for 3 years. He was one of my hypnotherapy teachers also, and he left it all the money, everything, people flying him around the world or coming from the world working. He said, that's not for me. I want a quieter life. So this guy was definitely, he had his good points and bad points, but he was definitely dialed in. And obviously a lot older than me, an elder, wise elder. But he told me, he said, he asked me, he goes, do you know why you can do this work, Michele, and successfully, and it's not harming you? And I said, I don't know. No. He goes, because you don't believe in it. You don't believe the belief system. You're able to connect with the people that feel the devil is getting them or the demon is attacking. And it's real. Believe me, I've seen some shit. Let me tell you, I have seen some shit come out of people and be around and attached to people. And I've done work in groups where they've seen the shit too. They've seen the demonic possession. But I had to stay in that higher vibrational frequency of oneness of all that is and not get into good, bad, evil. I just had to get into, okay, you want this thing gone, you believe it, So, yeah, I would just say that, but definitely leave and definitely get someplace where you can feel safer. Do
you see any, I don't know, do you see anything around a new place? Because I'm just like, where do
you'll find it, but I feel like until you get this part of your inner life handled, you're going to bounce around. And I don't know what's going on. I got to go to the next caller, but I don't know what's gone on, but I definitely agree with you. There is like this kind of dark, kind of foreboding energy around where you're at now. Now, I'm not saying something's going to happen to you, but I definitely feel it's something that happens when we're in an environment where people don't get us or understand us or overly judging us. That can lower our vibration and the environment. I feel like you go back to somebody that you knew before. So I don't know who that is for you.
The person that I lived with before, because I was a little bit skeptical of that, because I was offered that, but I was like, I don't feel like I should go back and take care of. I don't have the energy to take care of somebody and to be looking out for somebody else.
But you need support, and you need to get out of there and make a plan. You need to get out of there. So if it's safer, it's like which option is better? Take the better option. It may not be perfect right now, but take the better option. So all right, sweetie. Sending you a big hug and lots of love and lots of light. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Hi, you're on air. Hello.
Hello?
Hi, you're on air.
Hi, Michele. It's Amla.
Amla. Hello, Amla. Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I am, in this moment of time, feeling very good.
You're talking about the squeeze, and it's like that's there's a saying, face out of the tube, can't put it back in. It's harder to put back in the toothpaste once it's squeezed out. So that squeezing motion is what I'm feeling as well. And it's kind of been like that all year, in a way. But it's all good. It's all for the higher purpose and higher learning. My question today is about, like, the next couple of months. Do you feel me on the rise? I just feel like I've been using a lot of discernment and just really stepping back and really taking a good look at myself. And you're never done, but talking about Venus being in retrograde and relationships and friendships. What do you got?
I think you're on the rise, but I feel like a lot of people, the rise is going to be incremental right now until probably, for some people, September. I would say more towards October, towards the end of the year. So find new markers or ways of seeing and feeling your rise, okay? Yes. And that will help you. That'll put you in that momentum, because I can feel it. I can feel it with a lot of people, but it's like it's so incremental right now because we're in this phase of adjusting. So you might be rising in one area and then go, oh, my God, what about this over here? This hasn't happened, or this is slow, or I feel better. I feel more energy, but where am I going to put the energy? No one's here yet. So acknowledge where you're rising, celebrate that, and then you'll still stay in that flow of rising, and it will become more tangible.
Okay.
All right. Great to connect with you. Wonderful to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's just been so stagnant, like you said, and I'm just like trying to get out of that spin, the spinning motion, and trying to get something moving. So do you feel like the Leo season is going to just like pick up for me just a little bit?
I think you have to navigate. You have to reframe the pickup, because things are moving, but we're entering a very different world. We're already there, but cognitively it's not yet sinking in with all, even I have to check myself on it. Where it's about the energy. We may not be seeing certain tangible physical results. Remember, we're moving in the whole realm of the mind, emotions and mind. Yeah. We've been used to things so physical, like when I do this and that happens, So that's why I'm saying, if you can reframe and kind of, look at where the rise is, or where things are opening, or how you feel a certain way, or if you feel like you're handling things better, that aligns you to that energy. And then you will absolutely, it's a metaphysical maxim, you will see an outpicturing of your manifestation. There will be a physical manifestation, right? Manifest or manifestation comes from the French word to make visible or make physical. So it has to, once it gains enough vibrational frequency, it has to become visible, physical. But we're not quite there yet into the physicality of it. All right, sweetie. Right. Take good care. And we have a great guest coming on in about a minute, so a minute or two. So want to stick around. Got an animal communicator coming on. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, you're on air. Hi, you're on air. Hello. Okay, let's see. I think that was all right. So Some of you may be listening by phone. That's great. If you want to listen in the chat, you can listen as you want. If you want to ask questions in the chat, you do need to do a BTR profile to animate in the chat, so to speak. You can listen by phone, 347-539-5122 as well. I don't know, maybe we will get to questions. I don't know. Some guests like it, some don't. We'll see. So it's time for our awakening conversation. Our awakening dialogue is with Danielle MacKinnon, internationally known animal communicator, intuitive coach, and she's the author of the incredible Animal Afterlife, What Your Pet Wants You to Know. Hi, Danielle.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Michele.
Yeah. How are you? How are things going?
Things are good. Today, the energy lately has been so up and down for me. Today feels wonderful, though.
Yeah, I hear you. That's what I said. Somebody asked me, and I said, in this moment, today is great.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
I've got today.
That's all I got. Yeah, exactly. That's all I got. That's all I do now, because it's so changing. I can't get attached to, even what happened hours ago. Let alone days ago, right? That's a way. It's interesting times, though, right? It's just interesting times with the energetic patterning changing so much.
It's very insecure. Like every day I wake up and I feel like I'm walking on a cloud and I don't know what is beneath the cloud and I just have to trust. So it's definitely exercising my faith and spirit.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I know early this morning when I got up and I was getting going and I tuned in. I just kind of sat up and I'm like, okay, feel it out. I did a mini meditation, connected in, and then I'm like, I don't know what to start with. I'll start with a long walk. I got going with my double decaf cappuccino. and then I came back and everything, boom, boom, boom. This is what you need to do. Call this person, do that, the email. Look at the guest info, connect in, and it all flowed. But in that moment, I can't tell you, I had so many things racing through my mind. I was like, where do I begin?
Totally understand.
Walk it out. Walk it out, baby. Walk it out. So let's talk a little bit. I'd love to get a little bit of your background for our listeners, what you'd like to share. And I always like to ask, first awakening, or what, and then what awakened you to your path where you are now, and even having written the book, what called you to even want to share in that way.
Sure, I can. I'll start by sharing kind of how I got to being an animal communicator, because that was an awakening in itself.
Yeah,
I was always the different one, the strange one, the oversensitive one. And I spent a lot of my time trying to be the normal one. Like there's a normal, right? But in my head, I thought there was a normal and I wasn't achieving that.
I totally get that. I did that myself. Oh, my God.
I think it's pretty common. Although I didn't know it was common, I thought I was the only one and everybody else was normal. So I'm going about my life. I'm married, and my husband and I are very distraught because our dog was really sick. She was at the vet. They'd done all of the X-rays and all of the tests and everything, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. We had a $4,000 vet bill, and it was just I'm obviously a big animal lover, and a friend suggested that I take her to the pet psychic in town. And I grew up in a world where pet psychic wasn't a thing. Psychic wasn't a thing. They were all con artists and not real, and they're going to take your money. But despite being told that, I was really, really interested, and I really, really hoped it was real. So I grabbed
of course.
I know. Part of me was already wanting this to be real. So I ended up getting a reading the next day for my dog with my husband, and the pet psychic, the animal communicator, was able to tell me that my dog was telling him she had eaten corn cobs, and they were stuck, and that she'd done that because my husband and I had been fighting for a week over my mother. It was my mother-in-law but it didn't matter. I was cool with mother or mother-in-law. There's no way he would have known that.
Yeah.
So that was my first awakening, was really like, wait a minute, this is real, and I thought I was doing it when I was little, and I was told I wasn't, but no way, this is what I want to do with my life. I don't even know what happened in the rest of that reading. It was that one moment that I remember from 23 years ago. Yeah, it was that. Like I just needed that little ping right there, and my entire life, the outlook of it changed in that moment and what I wanted from it. So then I went on to take a class from the Animal Communicator the next weekend. I like to move fast, which isn't necessarily awesome, but that's how I move. And in the class, it became clear that, oh, yeah, I can do this. I've been doing it my whole life. I felt really validated, like this is a real thing. And pretty much after that weekend workshop, I decided I'm going to start a business in this. Like I was still in my corporate marketing job and all of that, but this is where my heart was. And it was 23 years ago. So the internet wasn't like it was today. You didn't know other animal communicators. It was just a very, it was like the Wild West. So I was like, oh, start a business. Nowadays,
I remember those
there's
days.
people to look to.
Oh, yeah, and how to, I know, back in the day it was like word of mouth, maybe mailing, what is it?
Pin my business card up. Yeah.
Yeah, business card, metaphysical bookstore, health food store, you know.
Yep.
Yep. Flyers. Remember flyers?
And it worked. It worked because there wasn't all this that there is now. So it was great, but now is obviously there. You can reach more people. It's very hard to reach people globally when I'm in my town pinning my business card to the Whole Foods bulletin board.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Wow. So now, did you've always loved animals, but did you always have this kind of, I guess, connection or affinity, I guess you would
I did
say?
But I was told I was a little weird. It wasn't said outright, but I was made to feel that I loved animals too much and that I was too sensitive about animals. My mom at one point grounded me from going to the mall because there was a pet store in the mall. And I kept saying, these animals are not okay, they're sad, they're upset. I felt it, but that, in my mother's view, was me being hypersensitive, and I needed to not do that. So she just stopped me from going anywhere near the pet store. It was challenging, but I always knew I wanted to help animals, and I always knew I wanted to write. And I didn't know at that time how it would come together like this, but I have been able to kind of carry that dream through in a different way.
Love that. Yeah, it's amazing. I think pet stores are really challenging. Zoos can be really challenging. Still, I hear you. Yeah, it's
even well-meaning, heart-centered sanctuaries and rescue organizations and all of that. Even though I know that animals are here to be of service to us, to help us grow and evolve, even though I know this, and so I know there's this bigger plan that the animals have, it's still hard for me to be around animals that might be suffering.
Yeah, you can feel it, right?
Yeah. But I get the big picture. I get it. They're sacrificing themselves to help us figure ourselves out. They've mastered unconditional love. We haven't. This is what they tell me. And so they're doing these things with their bodies and their experiences to help move us to be better people. But it's still really hard to be around it when you're around it challenging. Yeah.
And feel it. It's hard to see and feel. There I know in the might be some sects of Buddhism, I know in some sects of Hinduism, it's looked at as that certain animal beings, I would say on some level and metaphysically all of them, but they don't have, they're not wanting for anything, so they have no negative karma, so to speak. They're here just loving and giving. And boy, you do see that, right? Oh my God, you see that so much.
They're modeling unconditional love for us. That's why, so So now, again, everything I know from the animals. As they say, they've mastered unconditional love. We haven't. So when we bring an animal into our lives, that is our opportunity to experience unconditional love. And that is why when one of them passes, we have such a hard time, because that connection to unconditional love, so many people think it goes away. They don't realize that it can continue even though the animal passed on. We feel that loss, not just of, oh, he was so cute, but the acceptance, that ultimate acceptance that animals give us. It is so hard to lose that, especially when we, the imperfect humans that we are, may not believe ourselves to be lovable, or may not believe ourselves to be good enough or worthy or safe in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually why I ended up writing the third book, my third book, which was The Incredible Animal Afterlife, because the biggest pain point that I see in people is around their animal is not necessarily when the animal is alive. It's when they cross over.
Yeah, it's such a loss. It's such a loss. The physical presence, and for many people, more than somebody that was, let's say, even closer family member, that physical, obviously you can still feel them or call them in. They're there etherically. They're there with you. You can get messages from them. But, that physical, they take, they're little. If we're talking about little cats and dogs, I mean, obviously there's bigger. But, man, they have a lot of psychic space, right?
Yeah. They're constantly looking at us and evaluating us to figure out how they can help us in some way. How my dog wants to help me feel more independent. So what's she going to do to help me learn that lesson? Like they're constantly reevaluating, oh, this is working this way. Now I'm going to do this thing to help her learn this lesson. It's and they're doing it intuitively. They're doing it's at what I call is the soul level, because it's about more than the physical presence, but they're using their physical presence as the tool. How they are in their physical presence becomes the way they teach us. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So what would you say to people?
Just got to make sure.
What did you receive? Huh? What?
It was just making sure it made sense.
Oh, no. It makes total sense.
Okay.
So what would you say to people, or what do you say, or what do the pets say? What do you observe, and then also what the pets want us to know about their crossing over process? And even what's leads it, the preparation, right?
Biggest thing about the crossing over process that seems to open people up to the idea that there's more going on here is that, as I already kind of alluded to, animals are here teaching us these soul lessons. They're helping us master these things that our souls came here to learn. When they have done their job, when an animal has been like, all right, Danielle, this is as far as I'm going to get with her. She's doing a great job. She is learning to love herself in a whole new way, at a whole new level. I've done a great job helping her learn this. They then have completed their job here, and that's when they cross over. But the crossing over is never an accident. It is because they completed their job here. They might choose to cross over via an accident, but their passing is not actually an accident. Does that make sense? Like, they might get hit by a car, which seems to us like it's an accident, but it is a soul level plan that they have, that they are playing out. It's kind of
so true.
It's like, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around a little bit if you haven't thought of this with animals before, but with people, there are no accidents. Like, there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger thing going on here. So when we as people are worrying about or grieving the loss of our pet, we're mixing guilt in there. We're feeling like we should have done something differently. We're thinking if only we hadn't gone on vacation or given them that piece of food or whatever it was. And we're taking it on. It's a very, unfortunately, self-view of our animals passing like it is our fault. And it is never our fault, even when it appears to be our fault. It is part of their plan. And when they make this plan, they make the plan in a way that means that we can even continue to grow and evolve through their passing. And by that I mean, I had a dog. His name was Kelso, and he was helping me learn to believe in myself, believe in my animal communication skills. And I was believing in myself to a degree, but I didn't think I could do it in an emotional, attached type situation. I didn't trust myself when it went deeper. I could do it for people I was doing reading for, but not for myself. And he was very sick. He had surgery. We brought him to the overnight vet, and and I signed the thing that said, absolutely, perform CPR. I felt like intuitively we were on track. He wasn't ready to pass yet. We got home from dropping him off that night, and we got a call, and they said, he has seized. We're giving him CPR right now. You need to come here right away. So my husband and I rushed to get there, but on the way, my dog sent me a picture of him lying on the floor with people working on him, but then his body was up above his body. So it was his spirit that was up above his body. And it was his way of showing me, no, I am ready to go now. And I trusted that vision. I told my husband. My husband said, okay, if that's what you get. We called and said, you can stop the CPR. And we arrived there for his last breath. And so through this passing, despite that it was hard and it was traumatic and expensive as well, because we just paid for surgery, he helped me see that I could do this, that I could do it in these attached times of challenge. I mean, it's harder to trust your intuition when you're in an upset emotional space.
Yeah,
and he helped me learn. So he helped me learn that. That's what I mean by even in how they're choosing to pass, they're still wanting us to learn something through that situation.
Yeah. They do let us know. I mean, they let us know so much if we can listen. I always find it interesting the times that animal beings come to us. I had a client years ago that a cat, a little black cat, just showed, and her dad had just recently crossed over, just showed up and stayed for come in, eat, chit-chat, hang out, and then leave. And then one day, and I'm like, well, and she's like, it helped me so much. I felt better. I'm like, well, that's why you called that little being, came in and said, okay, I will share my love and healing energy and transmutation of energy with you. And even do you find also, I've seen with big transitions, I had another client recently who the dog, in session, the dog came through and said, was going to be leaving, which did, like 3 or 4 days later, said, I came with you during a time of transition, and I am leaving you now at this time. And he was is still going through a huge transition with father crossing, a lot of different things going on. What would you say for people? What can they look for or feel? Because if you're already psychic or intuitive, as you are, as I am, it is really easy to see what they're saying and what they want. But for a lot of people out there that are wanting to connect more with their pet, that would be one question. And then also during this time, I think it's helpful also for people to say, well, why is this being come to me, or why do I have this being? What are some ways that people can tap into that, whether it's first getting the being or the being coming to them, or at this time when they're either preparing to cross over or they just did cross over? What would your suggestions be? Okay.
That's a lot of questions. I'm going to do my best. But redirect me if I go off track.
No, but it's the beginning and the end, however you want to pose it, because I think that it's, to give the context,
So I think the place to start would be with the beginning. According to what the animals have shared with me, they are contracting with our souls before we come into these bodies. So if our soul is here to evolve, right? If my soul is here to learn that I am good enough and to fully believe that I am good and awesome and not doubt myself, Before my soul came into this body and incarnated in this lifetime, my soul was like looking around, all right, Danielle's going to be working on believing that she is good enough. That's the lesson her soul needs to learn in this lifetime. And then a whole bunch of animal souls and people souls come together and say, okay, we're going to help you learn that lesson. We're going to put you in situations. We're going to do things. We don't know what it will be, but we are going to contract with you and help you grow and evolve. So now I incarnate into this world. I incarnate into this body, and animals start showing up. People as well, but I'll stick to the animals part. The animals that show up in your life were contracted to be there. And they were contracted to be there to assist you, but assist you at this deep soul level. So you can't actually miss out on an animal. You can't, a lot of people when they're trying to bring an animal into their life, they're like, I need to check all the websites. I need to do everything possible rather than relaxing, because no matter what, the animal that's supposed to come will come. There are no accidents there. So the idea of how do you choose the animal? What happens is we think consciously that we are choosing the animal a lot of the time, but there has been guidance going on behind the scenes, orchestrating things to make that animal come in at that time for that thing. So a lot of animals will come in. I see a lot of people get new animals when they're like going through a divorce or starting a new job or leaving a job. These kind of beginning and end type situations in their life. And that's because a lot of the time what animals are teaching us is this idea of self-acceptance and unconditional love of ourselves. And when we're starting something new or ending something, that's when we kind of feel the lowest. And so that animal can come in and start supporting us through that. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, I love.
They're so smart. They know. I mean, I can't even call it smart because that makes it seem like they're worldly or, street smart, and it's not that. They're tapped in to what we need in a bigger picture way than what we humans can access. Yeah. The second part of your question was something, remind me?
Oh, yeah. So that was beautiful for the beginning, the opening. So the other end of the spectrum, when they're about to cross over or are crossing over or have crossed over, like you touched upon, like in an accident or something like that, what would be the best way people can connect in with their animal being to see what they learned and maybe what the animal being needs at this time?
Okay, so a popular question people ask is, how can I know if it's time for my animal to pass? And a lot of people struggle around this. And this is what I have people do. I have them sit down, like be away from distractions. And what you do is you take a moment and you think about that animal and you bring up all the love in your heart. You really think about that animal. And then you just write on the piece of paper the top 3 things that just make this animal's heart sing. So I have a dog who she needs to be able to sit on a hill and watch out over the land. And if she can't do that, she's uncomfortable, she's anxious. This is who she is. It's just what she needs. So that would go on that list. And then I have people write a second list. So there's the top things, 3 things that make this animal's heart sing. And then you write out 3 kind of substitute things. So maybe my dog can't sit up on a hill and do that anymore because she can't walk, but she can do it by sitting on the porch that's still elevated and it does still seem to make her happy. Like that would be the substitute thing. Not as awesome as the first thing, but the substitute thing. And the reason for this list is because there isn't an across-the-board signal that animals give to their humans that it's time to cross. It is so based on that animal and the signs and the lessons that they're in. So then you've got your list of 6 things that animal, this is who they are, this is what makes them them. if the animal is unable to do any of those 6 things, that's your sign from the animal that it's time to start looking at the ending is coming. Does that make sense? So we can't go, I mean, obviously if you're an animal communicator, you could just say, which is one of the things I used to do when I did readings, hey, what's the deal here? Are you getting ready to pass? And, they give that information freely. It's never a secret. But for people who aren't yet exercising that innate animal intuition that everybody has, I have found that this way helps them understand the signs without waiting for you always hear people say, if they don't eat for 3 days in a row. Well, if this is an animal that kind of doesn't care about food, it doesn't matter. So we can't use those universally hopeful signs. So it has to be specific to that animal. When an animal, I feel like I need to say this part too, you didn't quite ask about it, but when an animal is getting ready to pass, when they're in that, it's going to be in the next few days.
Oh, I did. Preparing.
Oh, you did? Okay.
You're right. I did. Preparing. That was in the long question.
So sorry.
No, that's cool.
At least my intuition is working, right? Because I didn't remember.
Very well, because that was, I know it's a lot. I love my long questions.
So one of the things that happens often, but I need to say only often, again, it cannot be applied all the time, but it is a more common one, is the animal becomes distractible, less present, and kind of softer in their energy. So the dog is less active and is kind of content staring at the wall a bit, or doesn't quite seem as excited about the ball as usual. It's and it doesn't happen every time, but it is pretty common. I don't want people thinking this is the sign, because it's not. I just want to bring it up because it's one of the more common ones. And what's happening is, before the animal actually dies, meaning the spirit fully releases from the physical body, the spirit is starting to move out of the physical body. So there's less connection to the physical realm. And what makes me feel good about this piece, and they've shared this with me, is it makes their physical experience here that might have been more physically hard, less hard, because they're less connected to their physical body as they move the spirit out of the body.
Yeah, and you see that with people as well.
Yeah.
And it's but interesting.
Not all.
Not all. Yeah, not all. But you see that. I'm shamanically trained and also bereavement counselor, so working with it, kind of death and dying. You're right, it's varied, but when it gets close, a lot of times they do have more of that staring off or staring out and less interest. But then you're right. I mean, my dad to the very end thought he was going on a date with somebody. He was like, yeah, when I get out of here, I'm going.
That's awesome.
So you're right there. Yeah, Danielle, you're very right there. In hospice, he was awesome. Yeah. So that can be,
I've even seen it happen with animals who died of a sudden accident. So the person's able to figure it out afterwards, meaning they opened the door, the dog ran out, the dog got hit by a car. This is came out of nowhere. And yet when they track it back, they're able to go, oh, wait, he was a little space. Oh, they're able to see after the fact the spaciness.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? It starts about 6 months, the disconnect. If we look back, it's freaky to look back. It's imperceptible. It gets a little stronger towards the time, but you can. I think because we have our routines and we get busy. I almost feel like,
and we don't want to know. We don't want to.
No, you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to see. But I think, but I agree with you. When looking back, whether animal being or person, you can see these kinds of shifts or something they'll say. I know with people, a lot of times people will just, that are not deep, all of a sudden want to have a deep conversation or just go off on a tangent. And then it's like that. It just it's cut off. Like they may never go there again, and you're like, wow, that was an interesting thought, or, didn't know you had it in you.
Or with an animal, the cat was always swiping at the human, and that this was the lesson for the human, and then they suddenly finally had this great moment, and then the cat dies really soon after that.
Yeah.
Like they do often say goodbye in their own way as well. Mm-hmm. We want to have that definitive, this is my moment of goodbye. Although we don't really want that, but we do want that. But so often we can look back at, that was the goodbye. That was the moment.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
No.
But
so what I find interesting as you're sharing is that it sounds like a really good part of the grieving process is to look back and look at those signs and look at the goodbye, look at the love, look at the completion of the lesson or next level, or however you want to look at it. Those little nuggets, those little defining moments could be very. I'm thinking back right now, and a couple, especially one of my little Yoshi. When you're able to see that and feel that and see, wow, this was complete, or I did receive this, right?
I find when people are able to start putting the pieces together about why now. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it with humans. Sorry, people. Right. Sorry, I always say humans when I'm talking animals. With people asking, why did so-and-so have to die now, so often people are writing in my social, I just want to know why. Why now? Why did it happen?
Yeah.
Why did it happen yesterday? And when you can kind of broaden your perspective to, there is a bigger picture at play here. There is a lesson that was learned, and this animal soul, because of that, needed to move on to their next part of their journey. And then you start putting the pieces together. Wow, he made me feel this way. I learned this from him. I did start believing in myself, or I did, whatever the animal is working with them on. It does help the grieving process because it brings an even bigger purpose to the relationship. It starts to make it make a little bit more sense. However, one of the challenges I see with people is even when they can start making sense of the lesson and what that animal was teaching them, if they still have the pattern within them where they blame themselves, then it still makes the grieving process hard because then they're mixing their guilt and their grief together. And do you find that when you're working with people, those are two very separate things, very separate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But we just lump them together, and then it makes it so hard for a person to move through that grieving process, not to mention how hard it is for people grieving the loss of an animal to grieve when so many people don't think they should be. There's this compounded problem as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the same as a child. It's not the same. It's like, well, kind of it is. Especially if you have a special, very conscious one. It can be, because some are more conscious than humans, so it just depends.
Yeah. I believe all animals are more conscious than humans, actually.
Yeah.
They go through their day accessing the big picture in a way that I have to remember to consciously do. I'm not at a point yet in my own soul's evolution where I'm plugged in the way that animals are all the time. I have to bring myself back to that connection.
They're there and extremely telepathic. They're getting, mental image pictures. They're, oh my God, such a gift that they are. To us.
I agree.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, right? Oh, I know. To your point when you were saying, I wanted to share something, like how the soul contract or how they come to you. My little Yoshi, who was with me for, she was around 16 years. And when I moved up to, I was in England and then in Sanitas, and I moved up into the LA area, the west side, Santa Monica. in Marina del Rey. I lived in that area, and I knew I was supposed to get a dog, and I looked high and low. I looked for a year. But I couldn't decide what I want. I didn't really actively look. I just couldn't decide, do I want a big one to go jogging with? Do I want a little one? I didn't know. I didn't. And the day that I just left it, I went walking with a friend on the beach. Oh, by the way, 2 weeks before, I kept seeing this like huge headshot of this dog, and I thought it was a pug. So I thought, oh, a vision, because that's visions come to me and direct me what to do. And I went looking for this pug, and every pug owner, where I looked, every rescue, they don't come in that color. It was like a white. And I'm like, no, this is what I saw. I know. And I knew no other dog. And I kept looking at dogs, and I'm like, no, it's not that. It must be a pug, because it was like a huge headshot. So one day a friend and I are walking on the beach, and she had to go do a return of some lingerie, and I'm like, oh, I don't really want. She's like, oh, you want to drive with me? And it's on Montana, Perfect Pet Rescue. And I said, because we just had this nice long walk. I'm like, all right, I'll go. We get in the car, we park, and she goes, I found your dog. And I'm like, what? And she's looking over, and I see this little, I'm like, where? I see this fenced area. We go in there, look around, and this dog comes right up to me. And I'm looking, but I see it was a Pekingese. I see the whole dog, and I'm like, no, I think it was smaller, and definitely looked like a pug. It was so close up. And she's like, Michele, that's your dog. And the dog would not leave. I pick up the dog. Yeah. And this woman comes up, and she's talking to the woman that's there and that runs the thing. And she said, I'd like to see that dog. And her daughter was helping, and her daughter goes, the dog doesn't want to get out of the woman's arms. What do you want me to do? And the woman looks at me, and I look at her. And she goes, oh, it's okay, just leave it. She goes, well, someone else wants to see the dog, but the dog doesn't want to leave. And I'm just holding the dog. It's like a little baby in my arms.
Yeah.
So finally I said, okay, I just was such a connection. And normally you have to have a home visit. You pay your money. You have to have a home visit. And I'd been talking with a woman, and she said, I can tell, she's your dog, take the dog. And my friend who had gotten her dog there, Danielle, in the car goes, I can't believe you didn't have to do she had to do a home visit, and they almost took the dog away because she had a cat, and the cat and the dog weren't getting along. So a few days later, I'm laying on the sofa, and I look over at Yoshi, and I go, oh, my God, it is you. Because I finally saw her in the close-up.
Yep.
So to your point, that always tickled me. I'm like, Jesus, 2 weeks before these visions start coming to me, then I didn't want to go to that stupid place to return my friend's lingerie, but the perfect pet was right next door.
Yeah. And my friend worked it out. When would you ever go with your friend to return lingerie?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, because I thought, there's going to be a lot of people walking around. There's all these boutiques. It's going to be crowded. But and I was resistant, and then something just poked me, and I said, okay, I'll go. Yeah. Do you think that was her poking me?
Yes.
Yes, I always look back at that, and I go, and she was a Cancerian. She was born on June 28th, 2004. And my friend was a Cancerian who helped me find one of my houses and then helped me find my Cancerian doggie. So I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, you totally clued into it. They work it. They work it behind the scenes. We think it just worked out, but they are making it happen. And it even happens when we don't keep the animal as well. There's still something to learn from even a brief encounter, but that obviously was a big one.
Yeah, and for the lady not to come, that was that. You no home visit, nothing. And, that was very telling. I thought, that's interesting. I didn't have to, she's like, I can tell. She's like, take the dog.
And you still have her? She's 16?
She passed in COVID. She passed at 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she gave me the look. She was ready. She had, it was very difficult.
They do have the look.
She gave me the look. I mean, one time I'm walking down the street, and these guys in a car, like teenagers or early 20s, they're slowing down and they're videotaping. And I'm like, on their phones. Everybody's got their phones. And I'm like, okay, is this going to be on social media? And they go, oh, miss, don't worry. We're not videoing you. We're videoing your dog. Your dog makes us happy. She's so joyful. And I'm like, okay, there you go. Checkmate. It's not
unconditional love. They need the video.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I knew it was a big heart opening. But, I'm glad you clarified that for me, because I was like, what an orchestration,
So complicated when you try to think about how can they, like, I could never make something like that happen, but they do it. They do it all the time.
They do. So
they
subtly.
Do it with showing up in our lives, and they do it with leaving our lives. They are driving the bus.
Yeah, very aware, very awake, very conscious, and very humble. These animal beings, they
are sacrificing themselves for us over and over and over again.
And over, and they teach us that as well. That to give from the heart. Oh gosh, Danielle. Now, is your book, again, we're going to talk the Incredible Animal Afterlife: What Your Pet Wants You to Know. Is that out now?
Yeah, it's on
it is
Amazon.
It is on.
And I actually put together a little page for your people if you want to.
Oh,
with the
very
book
cool.
on it.
Everybody listens. Okay, cool. How do they access that? Is it on Amazon or do they go to your website?
They can go to Amazon to get the book directly, or they can go to DanielleMacKinnon.com/awakening, and I put together a few things for them: animal communication tips, a link to the book, and information about my animal intuition community as well. So all that's on the
Now you're also on
page.
Insta, also, right? What are you on?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok. I'm Danielle MacKinnon 1 there. I have to have the 1.
Okay.
There's all
the
these
1. Okay.
corn artists going on, but I'm the 1.
There is? Okay, I think we posted something maybe with the wrong. Let me see.
Oh, did you?
One. Let me see.
Danielle MacKinnon, M-A-C, MacKinnon 1.
Well, let's see if it went. Oh, no, it is you. Yeah, because.
Okay, yay.
I knew because of the little
really,
doggy.
Although the con artists are just copying me and telling people I'm having visions of them and stuff like that. And I'm not doing that. I spend my time teaching.
I had the same on Instagram, and some clients of mine reached out, and they're like, one of them said to me, she's so funny, she goes, I knew it wasn't you because I know you don't charge $25 for the session. And I'm like, and also the link, and also I don't usually DM people and go, I've got a message for you. I go, that's kind of a giveaway. Yeah, I don't have time to do that.
And then let's talk money. Yeah,
crazy. That's not my.
I think on TikTok there are over 50 last time I checked of me, but
oh my God,
I don't have my chat on TikTok, and I'm doing videos and letting people know about this stuff and hoping they'll come learn animal communication with me. And I'm not reaching out to anybody with visions charging money for email readings.
No, I think people should realize that kind of common sense.
Hopefully, but a lot of my people are so deeply in grief that they're not thinking totally straight, and I feel like they're being preyed on because their emotions are so high.
Yeah. No, I hear you, because I had one the client and also acquaintance, and she texted me and said, I almost fell for it because I'd been thinking about you and wanted to get a reading, and then you popped in. So it could look like some interesting synchronicity, like I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means, but it wasn't me.
This is Danielle. They'll go, this is Danielle, and I'm emailing you, or I'm reaching out to you from my backup account. Like, I don't have a backup account, people.
Yeah.
So they figure out all sorts of ways, but I'm trusting that the universe is going to move all those people out, and people will just see my real content, and it's really fun.
Oh, they
fun
will
to make videos
but it's
and help
good
people.
It is, right? I love it. I love the connection to the media social. So Danielle MacKinnon 1. So people have to put the 1 in there. It's in my stories, so you guys can see it. You can click on the link if you follow me on Insta. You can click on the link. Oh, Danielle, this was amazing. I really loved sharing with you, and just love what you do. And you're just. Yeah, you have so much insight and information, and it's good to know you have classes in this also, workshops and classes.
Yeah.
So
lots
people
of them.
Can,
that's my thing. That's where my heart is teaching.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, thanks for being here, and lots of love and light. You take care.
Thank you, Michele.
All right. Radiant Soul Light. Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, get the book. It sounds really good. There's not a lot of good books out there with that topic that can kind of give you some really good, foundational, especially info to dive into that type of connection with your animal being. Anyway, Radiant Lights, connect with me also, Soul Insights and Tarot, Awakenings with Michele Meiche podcast. We're extending to YouTube. If you have any guest suggestions, topic suggestions, or you have questions, you can always email me at awakeningspodcast@gmail.com. Producer will get those to me, or in any of the comments, like on my Instagram, the reels, you can put in a comment or a question. I don't check the direct messages other than the Patreon chat, but really that's not even for me. That's for the Soul Path Journeyers and Soul Seekers and Soul Path Patreon community. That's more for them. So best way is to always email me, or I do religiously, and I love the comments on YouTube or Insta. I love connecting with people that way. So if you do have a question or a comment or need clarification, or this guest is great, if the guest is great, if it's a guest or topic suggestion, send it, not just the name. Sometimes people just send in the name. We don't really have time to hunt. I mean, sometimes Sadie is getting 50 to 60, maybe 100 emails a day with submissions. So it's great to put the person's name, maybe what they do, and a link. I think that's all for now. Until next week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for co-creating this. And as always, continue to share your light, shine your light, share your light, and share your insights as well. Lots of love and light. I'm getting woke and staying woke.
Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michele's blog at soulplayground.com. And keep awake.